Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hidden Gems and Float. It's so nice to see everyone. Would love to grab where everyone's dialing in from this morning and see what you got going on. Hi, Stella. Good to see you.
Hi, so I'm Stella, your host, and Alex is going to be our product expert for today. So please, I will be behind supporting from by answering your questions in chat and then basically looking to share any information that you need. So let's begin by going over the agenda. So today we are going to cover scheduling workflows that eliminate manual work such as bulk edits, project templates, color-coded schedules, and placeholders. Then we'll cover how you can use tags to filter hundreds of people, projects, and instantly get the data you need. Finally, we will learn how to use the Float API and integrations to connect your data and build a single source of truth for resource management. If you have questions, share them in the chat and we will try and get to as many as possible.
That's right.
But first, what is Float? Float is the number one choice for profitable resource management that helps you keep your people, projects, and profit on track. Float was founded by two ex-agency folks who were tired of using spreadsheets and all-in-one tools for resourcing. So we know the pain of scheduling and running projects with inefficient and time-sucking processes. And since then, we've grown to become the leading resource management software for 4,500 of the world's top teams. And we're not just saying it, we have the proof too. Our customers have rated us number one on G2 four times. We've also been awarded the most implementable and fastest implementation badges. That's because even when implementing floats in enterprise level teams, our customers find that we are easy to use and have a quick time to value. Some of those customers use hidden gems, like the one Alex is going to show you, to power their resourcing and deliver profitable projects. That's enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Alex now.
Thanks, Stella. And we have people dialing in from all over the world. That's amazing. I even see someone from my area here in Washington State. Well, I won't keep talking. We are going to go ahead and go to the moment you've all been waiting for, which is the big reveal of the three powerful workflows in Float that customers like Atlassian and Instrument swear by. They will help you match the right people to the right work profitably. So I'm going to throw it over to a past version of myself who does a better job demoing this than I would today. Stella, let's hit the recording.
Sure.
All about speeding up those resourcing processes. At Float, the majority of the teams we work with here are in professional services. And that means that their work is extremely dynamic, it's fast paced, and it's constantly shape shifting to adapt to client needs and project deadlines. So we know everything needs to be built with that in mind. And the features I'm about to show you, hint, it's not the schedule, while not some of our most major elements, are also made with the idea of agility at the forefront. So hidden gem number one, let's speed up those resourcing processes. And the first place we're going to start is actually not on the schedule. The first place we're going to start is in projects. And we're going to speed up the creation of the work itself by using a project template. And you can get there by selecting projects on the main menu, and you'll navigate into this wonderful project list. So if your organization, as many, specializes in a certain kind of work, and you don't have to create projects from scratch every time. Instead, you can set up templates for the types of work that you do. In this environment, you can see that I've set them up by type. If I go to manage templates in the upper right-hand corner, I can pull up my different templates that I've previously created. And what you can see is you can create templates by type, but if you commonly offer several variations of the same project, let's just say specific business units, brands, or your teams just operate slightly differently, you could set up those variances as separate templates too. And let's be honest, I don't recommend going too overboard, but there's technically no limit to the number that you can create. So let's look at what happens if I load one of these wonderful project templates. We'll use the e-commerce site template as an example. The first thing you'll notice is that it has left the project name undone, and it has just pre-filled a couple of the different key elements that we typically use on these projects, like our phases, for example, maybe milestones, and maybe budget type. And then all we need to do is select the start date, and it's automatically going to pre-fill our timeline for us as well. So the benefits to this approach are obviously it's much faster, and the low-key benefit is you get more consistency around how different project elements are used. So things like phases, milestones, and tasks are often used relatively in the same way across different projects. So let's go ahead and cancel this one for right now, because we're going to look at a different way to create a project template. Now, if you have a project that's already in flight, you're a Float power user, let's say, and you know that this project is literally the best project you've ever created, then you don't have to go and create a project template from scratch. You can use that project as a sort of skeleton for your template. So if this project already exists, in my case, it's this wonderful brand campaign that I've created. If I go to the project side panel and open it up and head over to the 3 dots menu in the upper right-hand corner, I can see that I can create a template from this project. What it's going to do is it's going to copy most of the elements from the project over to my template. And then I can choose to, say, remove some of the team members that are previously on this project, or I can keep them if they're commonly working on this project as well. And I can create my new template directly from my previous project. So that's speeding up the creation of the work. But tip number 2 is how to quickly plan around shared or non-human resources or unnamed work without the last minute hustle. And for that, we are going to use our placeholders. So I'm going to head back to the schedule to show you kind of how we interact with placeholders. The way placeholders came about is we found that sometimes allocating certain types of work is really hard. And there are scenarios when you don't always know who's doing the work, or sometimes with the non-human element, you may have certain pieces of expensive equipment that you share across multiple teams and locations, and it's hard to keep track of where that equipment's at any given time and whether it's being used or not. So this is where your free placeholders come in handy. To quickly find the placeholders in this account, I'm going to use my filter by person type, and I am going to select placeholders so that you can see the 2 examples that I've set up for us. So in these 2 examples, the first example is an expensive piece of equipment. It's a camera. And I've created a placeholder for this shared non-human resource so that you can see how you can use this as an easy way to communicate to your team, aka anyone who needs to use it soon, that it's booked out for the day and all day, every day for the next 2 weeks on a shoot. So if that team member has a project that requires it, then they could come to the schedule, look for that placeholder, and they know they can either have to work around the other team or they have to beg and plead to borrow it for a day when it's not on the shoot. In the second example of our placeholders, you can see that I've created a placeholder as a freelance worker. And in this example, if you want to account for the work that's happening around this freelancer, but you don't necessarily want to pay for a seat, this is where using a placeholder might be good for your freelance worker. Here I can simply add them as placeholders and I can allocate work to them, and I'll also be able to track how much we've assigned to them week over week. The cool thing is you can also report on this information. So if I head to reports with this placeholder filter on, I can also see how much time has been allocated to each of these placeholders and report on that information over time. The key to placeholders is that they allow you to enhance the visibility into the activity that's happening around and outside of your core team. So whether it's freelancers or non-human resources, there's no need for those last-minute scrambles or cluelessness about who's working on what when. Now, tip number 3 and hidden gem number 1 is the quick action menu. So we're heading back to that schedule. We are taking off our filter, and we are going to talk about how to become a scheduling pro with this tip. So you can get even quicker, yes, even quicker at scheduling work in Float. And that's by using our right-click menu with its keyboard shortcuts. So you can see that when I right-click in the space that's not got an allocation, it automatically brings up my quick allocation menu. This is also available in this lower right-hand corner here under this little mouse icon. On the menu, it shows you the hotkeys that you can move between in different modes. So if, for example, I want to break up this allocation that Anna has currently, I can enter split mode by pressing S or going into my quick menu and selecting split. And I enter that split mode. I can split the allocation up. I come back, I press A to return to my normal allocation mode, and then I can move things around. Obviously, we're not going to move that design allocation to the web developer, but you get the idea. And it returns to that normal allocation menu. And as you can see, there are quite a few different options for doing different things, like linking different allocations so that if one moves, the other moves with it, changing modes, using quick add, etc., etc., etc. Now, while I'm here, I do have to shout out one of my favorite small hacks that is in a very similar family to this quick action menu, but is not actually listed there. And people are constantly asking me, can they copy allocation? Can they copy allocations? The answer is yes. You only need to hold down your shift key as your hotkey in this case. And when I hold down shift and I drag that allocation, you can see I have created a duplicate that I can move around as I need. Now let's delete that before I forget. Actually, we'll leave it for now. And now it's smooth sailing from here, so I can just move this sucker over and start playing around with it as needed. Right. So tip number 4 around our quick resourcing processes is my favorite, color coding. Float's most visual element is our color coding, and it is actually more than just a vibe. It's a hue that you can use to your advantage. So setting the allocation colors, while most prominent on this schedule view, actually happens in the projects menu. So I'm going to take you back to projects here on the left-hand side. And in this demo account, you can see that I have color-coded my projects based on client. So I have a light blue for Acme Inc., and I have a pink for Aero Engineering, etc., etc. Of course, color coding my client is probably one of our most common uses of color, but I have seen color coding used in other ways. So I've also seen teams color code phases to indicate what type of work they're doing with their team members. This is just another great visual hack to use, especially for longer term projects. So I'll show you what that looks like. If I come back to Acme and I select my project colors, no pun intended, you can see in the project view that I have color coded each of these phases. So build is blue, discovery is green, and design is red. Now, why this is a great visual hack is because it makes it super clear, especially for longer term projects, when something is transitioning from one phase to the next. So I begin to associate the color with the phase of the project. So that's all for hidden gem number 1. I feel like we've covered so much. We've looked at how you can speed up those resourcing processes and achieve those small but mighty efficiency gains by looking at project templates, placeholders, the quick action menu, and the color coding of your allocation. But what about hidden gem number 2? Hidden gem number 2 is one of my favorites. Yes, everyone, it is tags. And the reason I feel that this is a hidden gem is because I don't think many people realize their full potential. So for us, tags are all about building out a database of specialized skills and custom attributes in Float so that you can always find the right fit for the work at any given moment. So the most obvious representation of tags is on the schedule. So here you can see my counterpart Nick has several tags associated with his profile. You can see them visible on the schedule. And also if I click on Nick, I can see his tags down here as well. He's got 2 skills, one for databases and JavaScript, and then he's got a location-based tag for his office location. So you can use tags like this, and people do use tags like this pretty regularly on the schedule. But I think what people often miss is that you can also use tags on projects. So if I go back to that project list, I am going to pull up my favorite project today, Project Thunder. And what you can see is that Project Thunder has a project tag of R&D. So here you can use project tags to track certain kinds of project work, especially if they're planned or managed differently. So maybe you have different brands underneath one Float account that you want to tag those projects in that way. And what that does is it creates an instant filter for you on your schedule and or on your reports so you can track this information across the product. So you can easily see if you're using brands as an example, you can easily see how one brand's performing against the next, both on the schedule, on the project list, or on the report section. Right. So that is hidden gem number 2, all about tags. And if you need to manage them, you go to your setting, and I can show you how to do that. If you have questions, just let me know at the end of the session. But we're going to move on to the mysterious, the wonderful, hidden gem number 3. And hidden gem number 3 is all about integrating. That is how you can integrate your tooling to create a unified ecosystem that you've always dreamt of. Now, this is a fun one to cover because it's rarely the first topic that comes to mind when we think about software demos. And let's be honest, I'm demoing with you right now. But it is a true hidden gem, and that's why we're covering it at this event. At Float, we believe in the right tool for the job. And while we know Float is best in the business for resource management, we can freely acknowledge that there are other key business systems you may need to plug into your resourcing data. So to access integrations, and keep in mind, you do need to be an account owner to access some parts of what I'm about to show you. You go to your cog icon and you go to your team settings. Then you fly on down to the integrations page. And what you can see here is a few different things that I'm going to cover with you. So what you see at the top of this section is all of our direct integrations. Now, direct integrations are basically what some people would call turnkey integrations. I don't want to oversell them, but the benefit is they're quite quick and easy to set up. You click connect, you type in a few details, and you're off to the races. Some of the small downsides of those things are they're typically a little less flexible. So there's always a trade-off in these things. But for less flexibility, if you're looking for more flexibility, you can scroll on down to a few of our other options. One of those being Zapier. So if you're looking for a bit more control over how information is passed between systems, the first option that you have that is less technical is Zapier. Zapier is very similar to direct integration in that you don't need to be super technical to use it, but it does offer quite a few more controls and a broad library of connection. The downside to Zapier, of course, you have to have a separate account, but a lot of people are already using it today. And so it's a really great option for some people. And what I recommend if you're exploring Zapier and really interested in this is you actually go to Float's integration page. And what you'll see is a listing of many of the tools that we feature and recommend that you consider integrating with, some of your favorites, I'm sure. Anywhere that you see a tool listed that has this tag that says via Zapier, this little orange tag, those are tools where we've already done some of the work for you if you're trying to use Zapier. So for instance, maybe you use, or today I use Monday.com for bottom-up task management, and I want to connect it with my resourcing system Float. If I was to click on the card here to learn more, it would take me to a support article that talks me through how to set up the integration. But what I actually want to highlight with you all today is this little section here about the templates, or what I like to call pre-built recipes. So here we have done some of that work for you with the pre-built recipe. Basically, if you click on that link, you're going to land on this page here. And you can see that we've already set up some of the integration for you based on some really commonly used steps for these different things. So you could literally download this recipe. You could tweak it to your own needs and set it live, and you're off to the races with Zapier. But of course, there is one more option, and this is the best option by far, depending on how technical you are. And that is using Float's API. So if you need something that's really bespoke, fully custom, and you have the resources to do it, Float does offer a really robust API where you can create those custom integrations. All of these integration options, whether direct, via Zapier, or using Float's API, are really great options depending on where you're at in the process. What they mean is that your resourcing data always stays up to date. You have fewer opportunities for manual errors. And the best is that you get a single source of truth for your people and projects in Float. Well, that's hidden gem number 3, all about integrating. Now let's take it back to the main stage for our Q&A. It's been very fun doing this little mini treasure hunt with you. And I'd say we have truly uncovered some incredible little gems poking around here in Float.
Thanks for past version of Alex. Let's get into the next segment where we'll answer all of your questions. I love how everyone was just popping questions in chat. I moved them over to the Q&A section and I'll spotlight them. Are you ready, Alex?
I am. And by the way, it is painful watching yourself on a recording for 20 minutes. So I'm ready to do this Q&A instead of...
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
So question 1 goes, are templates specific to some users or can all users see or borrow them?
So I got overexcited when we were watching the recording, and I actually answered this one in the chat. But Float has a very specific permission structure, and project templates actually respect that permission structure. And so you have to be either an admin, a billing admin, or a manager that can view and edit projects to be able to add templates. And on top of that, if the template contains certain billing information, you have to be able to have the correct permissions associated with viewing bill rates and budgets. But assuming that you have those permissions, and my account that I was demoing from was an admin level account, so it did, then you can create and share those templates quite broadly.
Thank you. Okay, so now let's go to question 2. Is color coding manual, or is there a way to assign a color to a client? For example, if you add a project for a client, it will automatically use their color.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's manual per se, but it is a governance item in Float, meaning that if you want to set up the color coding in Float to be by client, then that's something that you want to mandate through a process or how you manage Float if you're an admin. The nice thing about Float is you'll notice when you're creating a project, it will recommend certain colors that have been used, and it will recommend them based on the client. So it will say, you've previously used this color for this client. Do you want to reuse it? It doesn't show as like a pop-up. It shows when you go to select the color, but it will recommend that you reuse the same color for clients. So at least it's kind of encouraging those good behaviors as you would.
Thank you. Now for question 3. I like this one. Very simple, short. How do you color tags?
Yeah. So someone noticed that the tags in my account had colors against them. So when you create tags in Float by default, they're actually that gray color that you probably recognize. But if you're an admin or someone that can access the team settings on the profile, then if you go to the team settings, which is the same place that I was showing integrations earlier, then there is a section for tags, and there you can control the tags that are on your account, and you can also change that color.
Thank you. Now let's move to the next question. Can I temporarily allocate resources for, say, 2 weeks, exactly matching the validity period of a quote sent to a client? And then can I then receive a notification in Float with a warning? The 14-day period has expired. Should the placeholder be removed? Yes or no? So this is very custom, but I'll let Alex.
Yeah. So I'm actually really excited about this question because for me, this directly relates to something I've been working really hard on, which is our estimates beta. And we can actually drop a link to some of the details around that project if people are interested. Wow, it's morning time here. Interested. But the first part of this question is about recreating a quote from the client. And so we recommend that you recreate those quotes in the project view, which is a new view for us, basically, that you can access from clicking on the name of the project. And I was going to try to share, but I am a little bit nervous if I do this right or not. Let's see. Yeah.
Let me take the question off stage so that you can share.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're here. Yay.
So here, this is the project view here. And the way that I got here is from the project plan and clicking on the name of the project. And you can see here that I have like recreated essentially an estimate. These could be in direct hours. They don't have to be in percentages, but that's what you're seeing here. And I can save that as an estimate as well. So I can track my baseline values. But the piece of this question that's interesting is how do I then reflect that on the live resourcing schedule? So when you're happy with these details, then what I recommend you do is you take this from, in my account, I've customized some of the statuses, but this dash outline is draft. And then you take it to this status here, which we typically call tentative by default. Here in this account, it's called likely. And what it's going to do is when you move it to that tentative status, it's going to drop it onto the schedule as exactly what you have created in this project view. So you can match the quote in the project view, and then you can flip it to tentative so it goes onto the live resourcing schedule, and it basically places a hold on those resources for that time period. Now, the last part of this question is about the notification side of things. So right now, our notifications can't be set up to proactively prompt you to take any action or remind you that you have tentative resources. So it's something that you would need to consider. We are working on sort of a commenting pattern on the schedule that might actually help with this. So in that instance, you'd be able to kind of create a comment and sort of remind yourself to check in. But for now, the notifications will not proactively remind you.
Thank you. So I want to add our last question. Hello, I may have missed it. Would placeholders take up a seat?
So they do not take up a seat, which is great. By default, on every account, you get at least one free placeholder. So if you're on starter, you get one by default. If you're on pro, you get five. And if you're on enterprise, you're one of the lucky few that has custom access to placeholders. So someone's negotiated this for you. But you at least get one per person. And then I don't know if anyone noticed when I just shared my screen on the project view, but if you are estimating and you want to estimate, you can estimate against a person, but you can also estimate against a role, which is kind of a unique new offering that we have. And that just came out like yesterday. So I'm plugging these things really that are quite new, but there you go.
And we're going to send out a newsletter very short with more updates, and we'll have a What's New page as well covering that. So we've come to the end, and those are all the questions that we have. So I'm glad we got through all of them. Thank you for staying with us so far. We'll send you the recording right after the session. And if you'd like to find out how Float can help you get resource management right, you can head over to our website at flu.com and book a demo. I just sent the link to the chat. Okay, thanks so much. Take care.
Bye, everybody. Great seeing everyone.
Bye.